what's the most unexplainable thing that you've ever seen? Please do like, share, and subscribe. 1. Last year, around Christmas, I started joking that a man lived in the attic above my room. I heard noises from up there all the time and would see a man out of the corner of my eye. One day I was joking about it to my mom and older siblings, and my mom says to me, dead serious, "You know, that's really weird that you say that because Kobe, my little brother, has been complaining about a man in his closet ever since he was young." My heart dropped because the attic was in his room for the last 3 houses we lived in before this current one. It was such a weird feeling that overtook my body, and I stopped talking about it ever since. 2. One night, around 9 o'clock, my brother was walking in the hall past my room, and when I looked over at my door, it looked like he was walking in my room, except it was like a very dark outline of his body. As I said, it was night, and the only light in my room was coming from the streetlights. It scared me because my door was closed, and something like that is impossible to happen. I've had several, but I'll go with the haunted dorm room. My friend, we will call her Boo, lived in a dorm together for about a year. We met in college and became friends quickly. We're even roommates now in an apartment. Anyway, she had a haunted TV to be specific. The television was a boxy type, very heavy. The issue we had was that if you set anything on top of it and left the room, it would move while you were gone, or facing another way. I had 2 very odd experiences with it. One time, we put some Dragon Ball figures on top of the TV before break and both left. I need to preface the next part as saying my friend Boo has limited mobility and could not have set this up. We came back to the dorms at the same time the following week, and the figures had moved from the TV across the room to neatly placed upright on my bed, and my desk chair had been turned over. The next one was when I decided to test things, which you should never do. I placed the remote in plain sight and asked the TV to turn itself on and off. It did both. We only had 1 remote. In conclusion, I think I pissed it off. My husband and I moved into a fully furnished attic apartment in a very old building. It was very gaudy and most definitely felt haunted, but the price was good, and neither of us are very superstitious, so no big deal. Over time, we began to declutter the place, and it started to feel more like a home. Recently, we decided to paint the front room, so we went about removing paintings and things off the wall. Then, we came across this one mirror. It's always been a bit out of place, with a red frame that didn't really go with the rest of the apartment. We went to move it, and my husband goes, "Can we just get rid of this mirror? It's always given me a bad feeling." This was news to me because I always hated that mirror, but for some reason assumed he loved it and thus never suggested throwing it out. Then he went on to say, "You know, I've walked past this mirror so many times, but I can't recall ever seeing my reflection in it. After thinking about it, I couldn't think of ever seeing mine either." Keep in mind, this mirror had been a prominent feature in our hallway for a long time. Once we recognized that something was off about it, the creepy feeling the mirror gave off could not be denied. I can't really describe it, but it felt menacing, like being watched by someone. We decided to take it down to the storage room, but somehow the bad feeling still lingered, so my husband made the executive decision to put it on the curb. Most of the time, the things we put down on that curb disappear immediately. However, the following day, the mirror remained on the curb. Later on that day, we went by and saw a man pick up the mirror, take one look at it, and put it down. Next day after that, the frame was still there, but the mirror itself was gone. The frame disappeared the day after, and the bad feeling in our house seemed to dissipate. This is just one story about this apartment, but it's the most recent one since it only happened last week. Prior to living here, I was definitely what you'd consider a skeptic. Now, I'm not so sure. I've had these weird glitch in the matrix sort of things happen at our house. They weren't really scary, just seriously weird. A few years back, I decided I wanted to make tacos with fresh tortillas. We have a big frying pan that is perfect for the task. I open the cupboard where we store our pans and it's not there. No matter, it's around here somewhere, right? But it wasn't. I asked my wife if she put it somewhere, but nope. We tore the house apart, looking for this stupid frying pan. It just up and vanished. We are utterly perplexed. What the fuck happened to our frying pan? No one had entered our house recently. We have a motion sensing camera array and a security system. No one broke in, and besides, nothing else was missing. 2 weeks go by, and I had just about forgotten about it. when I open the cupboard, and I'll be fucked. There's the goddamn pan, right on top of the other pans. It's just back. Is that a stupid story? Yeah, but I didn't make it up. I have no idea what other dimension or universe my pan blinked into, but it came back. A couple other instances like that have occurred. Nothing ominous or anything, just little things that are enough to make you nonplussed. Recently, though, I actually saw something. In May, I woke up one morning, seeing the morning light through the edges of our blackout curtains. I realized that my Labrador is standing at the foot of my bed. My wife had worked the night shift, so it was just me and my 2 dogs in the bedroom. I didn't feel my lab hopping up, which is weird because she's an 80-pound yellow dog. It's too early to get up, so I tell her to lay down. Normally, my voice sets her whole butt wagging, but this time, she just turns to me and stares before turning back towards the window. I snap my fingers at her and again tell her to lay down. She ignores me. I then realize my golden retriever is curled into a tight ball on my wife's pillow next to my head. She is absolutely tense. I can feel her anxiety baking off of her. She's making those high-pitched whistling, whining noises that dogs make. I sit up in my bed, and I'll be damned if the dog on the foot of the bed just vanishes into thin air. Confused, a terrible thought strikes me. My lab is older. What if she was trying to say goodbye? In a panic, I crawl to the edge of my bed to check on her. She sleeps on her dog bed next to ours. My heart fucking stops as I realize she isn't in bed. I start crying out for her when I see her huddled into the corner of the bedroom, just like my golden. She's curled into a stressed ball. I have no idea what we saw, but I'm positive all 3 of us saw it, and my dogs hated it. I get that these aren't incidents that will strike fear into anyone's heart, and I don't feel like whatever it is threatening or anything. It's just weird. Yes, I checked to make sure there wasn't a carbon monoxide leak. I saw a UFO about 25 years ago. Nobody even believes me today, but it's absolutely 100% true. I was walking down the street with a friend of mine back then, and I just happened to look up, and I noticed a weird ball of light. There wasn't any particular color really. It was kind of multicolored, but also white at the same time with an orange glow. It was weird. Really hard to explain. It's only something you could understand if you could see it. Anyways, I pointed it out, and as we're looking, we see a bunch of jets flying towards it, what looked like full speed. As the jets got closer to it, it suddenly bolted across the sky impossibly fast. And I don't mean just like a short distance across the sky. I mean it moved what looked like hundreds of miles in the blink of an eye. I was absolutely mind blown. The jets started circling around, and then they started flying towards it again. I was baffled at how slow the jets were flying in comparison to this thing, which was now sitting completely stationary in the sky, kind of like it was waiting for them. It looked like they were trying to chase it. There were 4 jets. It took them about 10 minutes to get closer to it. And right as they were approaching it, it shot straight up into the sky and disappeared. I've never seen anything move so fast, and it was such impossible directions. We ran to my cousin's house, which was a few blocks down the street, and we tried to tell everyone there what happened. Of course, nobody believed us, and still, to this day, no one does. I saw what looked to be a man walking through my family room. I thought it was my stepson at first, but he was in his bedroom at the time. My house, we've since moved, was 2 levels, with the family room being in the lower level. The only other person home was my husband, and he was upstairs. I stand by what I saw. A man, solid as you and me, walking through my family room, and I have no clue who or what he was. I was driving south of Logan, Utah. It was about 10 p.m. and very dark. All of a sudden, there was a large explosion in the sky to the west. I remember streamers of flaming debris fell from the main body of the explosion. I knew the area was field, so I didn't think it was power line transformer. The explosion was so big, I thought it was a helicopter. I had no idea how to get to it, and I was dumb, so I didn't call it into dispatch. I looked all over for a news article of a crash or anything for the next week, but I found nothing. It could have been a homemade firework, I'm not sure, but I regret not taking off through the dirt roads to find what was going on. I was 10 years old in 5th grade, Creekside Oaks Elementary in Lincoln, California. I can't remember the exact date, but I remember it was a few days before Christmas, 2001. My parents, my older brother, and myself were sitting in the school auditorium along with all the other families and parents waiting for my younger brother's play to start. They were doing the 3rd grade Nutcracker. Anyway, There was some sort of issue with a couple of kids in the play arriving late, so it was taking forever to start. I told my dad I needed to use the restroom, so he told me to hurry. I headed out of the auditorium into the hall towards the restroom, but they were locked, and I was a really picky boy, so there was no way I was using the porta potties they had set outside for everyone to use, so I headed towards the staff restroom, which was around the whole other end of the auditorium hallway. Anyway, as you can imagine, since it wasn't an area meant for any of us to use, it was very dark, and they had turned off all the lights, so I just followed the small, dim overhead light right above the staff restrooms. Well, literally the second before I was about to open the restroom door, I see and hear the door to the art room slowly close. I was freaked out, but also very curious. I go into the art room, pitch black obviously, but at the very corner of the room where the moonlight was coming through, I saw a dark figure floating, wearing what looked like a shredded cape or robe. After about 2 seconds of staring at it, it flies underneath the window blinds and almost like disappears through the window. I peed myself immediately and booked it to the auditorium. You can imagine how bad I was crying, and I ran in there, all the parents staring at me, and my parents run down right away to see what's wrong. I explained, then I've explained it a bit more recently, but they will never believe me. I've never had anything happen before or after that. I was camping. Buddy and I were lying on the beach at 2 a.m. smoking a joint when an airplane flew directly overhead. When it was right over us, it shot a light directly down, illuminating a 10-foot circle around us. The plane was moving, but the light was staying still. Then it turned off, and the plane was gone. Years ago, I saw a video of a woman teaching her daughter how to fly. Yes, the daughter is floating. A witch? They didn't know they were being filmed. Perhaps the cameraman accidentally caught them while he's in the forest and he's unable to stop recording them. Then, not long after, the mom realized there's other people there and they're being filmed. She's horrified, caught her daughter and ran away. I don't know if this video is fake or not, perhaps some sort of setup. I've been trying to search this video again, but to no avail. It's been bugging me for years.